Space, time, reality, the very universe itself. It is a prism of endless profitability, ever expanding. The possibilities of what could exist, who could exist, or what could happen are truly endless. Stories of regret, anger, fear. Stories of hope, dreams, and the good of all mankind. Myths of light and dark, good and evil, hero and villain. All interconnected into a massive multiverse of stories, characters, and worlds. Kenan Thompson.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zack Stewart, the Iron Ninja, and welcome back to the Crossover Nexus podcast. Today, I am joined with two newcomers, and one from the previous episode. I'm joined by Marcos Ramiro, who is on my previous episode and has done many art things for me. Say hi, Marcos.
Hi, how you doing?
I am joined by Tyler Goodrich, who does incredible stuff on YouTube. Say hello, Tyler.
Yeah.
Tyler,
Hi.
I can't speak.
Yeah. I don't know how to do it like hyped up. I feel like I need to hype it up, bring the energy up.
It's a podcast, man. We're just chilling. And I'm also joined by Xavier, also known as Marvel DC fan X99.
Hello.
Why are you waving? No one can see that.
Sorry.
It's alright. Okay. And today, at previous episode, we covered the Spider-Man X Jesse crossover, Halloween Night at the Museum, which was very forgettable. And today, we're going to be watching definitely something that will be memorable in the worst way possible. And that is the iCarly and Victorious crossover, iParty with Victorious. So, let me ask you guys this. Have you guys watched any of these shows?
Oh my god, yes. 100. No, I remember being on vacation in like Orlando or something, and there was like a new episode of iCarly, and I had to like force my parents back into the hotel for the specific time to watch the episode. And like I was glued to that TV and they were so confused, but like they got it. No, I've seen every episode of both of these shows.
Oh, of both of these.
Yes.
Oh,
Mega fan.
Oh boy.
100%. No, I was the definition of a Disney Nickelodeon kid growing up.
I feel you on that. What about you, Xavier? Have you seen any of iCarly or Victorious?
I've seen bits and pieces. I'm not attached to those sitcoms, but over the years I've watched some odd episodes here and there. But that's basically my extent of both of them. So not very much.
Mm-hmm. And Marcos?
So I was around that age where it's like there was a lot of like Big Time Rush, a lot of Victorious, a lot of iCarly. It was like phrasing from the Ned's Declassified Guide show.
Yes.
All the way to that era of of like embracing social media and a lot of new like celebrities and shit. I was more of a Big Time Rush kid growing up, but I still had like my fair share of iCarly, Drake and Josh, and Victorious. My girlfriend is obsessed with Victorious for some reason. But I don't blame her because it has Ariana Grande, in which she forced me to pronounce it right, and she has a lot of knowledge on this shit, especially with Dirty Dan. And looking back on these shows now, as I rewatch, like let's say for example, Big Time Rush, it's like a lot of these shows are really clever. It's just we gotta be reminded by the fact that they're made by kids. They're for kids,
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of like naivety, a lot of humbleness.
Yeah.
A lot of very outlandish situations, a lot of slapstick.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I got to keep in mind.
Yeah. For me, I did grow up a lot on iCarly. I remember hearing about the premiere and I was like, oh, it's so cool. And I remember going on the iCarly website every once in a while and just watching some of those like web exclusive episodes that they had on there. And around, I'd say, because Victorious was around 2010 is when that came out, and I remember watching a few episodes. The only joke I remember from Victorious is the "Stop watching Fox News. It's fair and balanced." That's the only joke I remember from that show, and it is I was really reminded about like those two shows through the Quentin reviews videos. If you guys have seen
Mm,
those,
Yeah.
have any of you guys
7
watched the
hours for the iCarly one. 7 bloody hours. How the fuck?
5 hours for 5 hours for one part, another 5 for the second part, and then the Victorious is about is 5 hours and then 8 hours.
The fact that you reminded me this, I remember this.
Listen, I watched both. I actually sat through the Victorious retrospective twice recently. I sat through it. I just sat through it recently a couple days ago because I was needing to be just a little bit reminded just what that show was like, and I didn't have time to watch all of Victorious, so I wanted to just instead sit down and watch the 8-hour version through Quentin reviews.
I feel like Victorious isn't that long. Like, you could have watched it in.
Well, yeah, but I also wanted to watch. I didn't want to watch the sitcom. God, you think I want to sit down and watch sitcoms on a sitcom podcast?
No,
God.
no, especially you specifically with the big cork board that has all the shit on it. Nah.
Exactly, you get it. But I that video really put in perspective how very hateful the writers were sometimes on those shows.
How very
Like-
how like took advantage of the actors and the
Well,
actresses.
no,
like,
just like what they thought about certain things and how hateful they were towards like certain groups. Like there's a very neurodivergent like character on iCarly that is just made fun of a lot. iCarly has some really great episodes, but there are episodes that are written by the same writer every time, and it's always those very hateful, spiteful ones that I'm like, yeah, that has to be the same writer, has to be. And that those writers then from what I understand, moved on from what Quentin's videos were saying, went on to work on Victorious.
Yeah. No,
During
Nickelodeon,
season 4.
it was weird vibe, especially because like Disney was the much more kiddish one, so they would try
Mhm.
harder to like stay away from like, it's not the idea of a black person being in a TV show is not like a taboo thing, but for children's TV in like late 2000s, I guess. But like Nickelodeon was like, no, we can do that, but also like they're funny, right? It's funny to just for these people to be here, right? And it's just
Yeah.
so awful and gross and like
Yeah.
it's just so gross, especially because like they refuse to actually put them in like the main
Yeah.
cast and like especially hire people to like write those types of characters at the very least.
Yeah.
Like it's just gross.
Disney I guess Disney was the opposite of that because they had a lot of black-led sitcoms on their channel.
Yeah.
They had That's So Raven, Corey in the House, which is aged poorly. They had a lot of black-led sitcoms, and then they also had The Proud Family, which is like a phenomenal show.
Yeah.
They had phenomenal
Nickelodeon
like
actually rejected it, and the creator went to Disney because like they tried to like show it to like demographics that weren't like that the Proud Family wasn't aimed for. Like they were aiming for kids from Compton. They were aiming for like very like black communities that like they're like, oh hey, it's like I was like, hey, that's our representation. We feel it. We fuck with it. But when it came to like Nickelodeon, they were like trying to show like demographics that were like more preppy, more white, a bit more privileged. And it's like, no, that's not what the show is for. And when they took it to Disney, they were a bit more open.
Yeah. iCarly was like in retrospect, iCarly is definitely for that. I guess the demographic for that was very much like I wouldn't say like very privileged. I wouldn't say like privileged white people, but it's definitely was. I can definitely look at it now, like with some of the jokes they made, and say it's very much like what white people deemed as normal because it's white people, you know. Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm making this a downer.
No, you're good.
No,
you're
I
good.
think-
it's a good thing to be aware.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to talk about it, especially because you are almost like replatforming them throughout the course of this podcast. So it's important to like point it, because I'm guessing like for me, I'm probably gonna like laugh at a lot of the stuff and be like, oh, this is great because it's like two of my childhood TV shows doing a crossover. I think it's important to like be able to say these shows did shitty
yeah.
things. They are shitty. We should acknowledge that and not let them skate by and just remember, like, because you do have to remember the bad stuff with and like thankfully
Yeah.
nowadays media is a lot better and like more inclusive and like that type of shit isn't like
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better.
yeah, but I think it is important to acknowledge that did happen. Like it's not okay that that happened and like go with that.
Oh yeah. Like iCarly and Victorious came in at a specific time when it was like being famous is so cool, guys. Look at how cool being famous is. And iCarly was surprising in that because it actually did predict a lot of what internet culture would kind of be like. It
just
showed
sad.
off like yeah, just sad, being sad.
Yeah, and like Fred.
And Fred. It grabbed Fred just as he was getting popular and Nickelodeon,
and it predicted his complete stranglehold on the internet because he's still going strong. Fred, yeah, he's the internet superstar right now.
The guy who does him is
Fred specifically.
Yes, Fred specifically. The channel that hasn't uploaded. Fred the character.
No, Fred the internet superstar is he's rising to the top. Like he still is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't get that bit at first, and it was very funny for me. I want to make it clear. I'm gonna do this great thing called explaining the joke. The joke is that Fred, the character, like the YouTube channel, the one with the high pitched voice, and he was like, "Hey, it's Fred. Look at these noodles or whatever." I don't remember anything of Fred. That he is still on YouTube when he's not. Like, didn't he sell the Fred channel? And then I haven't heard of Lucas Cruikshank like in years.
Yeah, Lucas does things. I've seen it. He does stuff on his own YouTube channel, but he sold the Fred like the Fred channel to a multi-channel network that then tried to make it into like this much larger brand. And if you go on the channel, you will see like a bunch of like sketch comedy stuff and like live in-person things of them just attempting to have things that would land as just stories and things, but then they it really failed like terribly, and so they just stopped after about a year into it. They just stopped doing it because they realized, crap, this isn't working for us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been there for like about a few years. Although I will say the funniest thing on there is that they had Jake Paul on the channel before he even became like a huge thing.
On iCarly or
no, on the Fred YouTube channel.
Like he's trying to get it back on topic.
Wait.
I guess
I don't want to talk about it.
To get back on the topic of iCarly, so this episode, the episode iParty with Victorious, which is season 3, episode 10, came out in 2011.
Let's God.
Like 2011 was a year.
I'm so old.
We're all old. It was 11 years ago, man. That was almost 11 years from now. It's almost in a few weeks. It'll be 11 years since that episode premiered.
Holy shit!
It premiered June 10th, 2011.
And like I remember watching it. I remember sitting down and like watching it. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was an event. That's how crossovers are marketed. It was an event that you could not miss. You had to sit down and watch this.
Especially because like in my you may know more about this because you went all in depth on sitcoms, but I remember as a kid, like Disney would always do like the big sitcoms for like its biggest shows, like, you know, Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana, Sweet Life, or That's So Sweet Life with Hannah. Like they were like Disney's always had like a stranglehold on those crossovers, and like Nickelodeon, you know, like Drake and Josh, like Miranda Cosgrove went over from that to do iCarly, and like Victorious was happening, but like there was never really many big I think Drake and Josh had a crossover with Zoe 101, but I might just be making that up from my memory.
It kind of did.
Yeah,
So
like
to
random shit like that.
Yeah, in Big Time Rush, they had like a crossover with both Miranda Cosgrove and the star Victorious, but in, like different like it was randomly like Miranda Cosgrove showed up in their Christmas special where they also had Snoop Dogg and
Yeah.
Butch
Snoop
Hartman
Dogg.
animating it for some reason.
Snoop Dogg
No,
just appeared in a Big Time.
Yes, the Christmas special, and that's what the reason why he did it is because his daughter liked Big Time Rush, and in the last season of Big Time Rush, this big what's the like Victorious star name again? I'm sorry, I have a terrible memory.
Victoria Justice. No, but like I remember like Nickelodeon had all these different shows and would
Yeah.
never really do crossovers. So this was like a big fucking deal because it was like the two biggest Nickelodeon shows at the time doing a
Yeah.
cross. Like it was crazy. Like seeing that
Mhm.
they were doing this because it was like Disney. You kind of expected it every year or so, a smaller crossover between the shows or something like that. So it was like crazy, but like more or less the same. But then
Yeah.
I remember this was like an event, like a one-time only thing
Yeah.
for Nick.
Yeah, Nick would start after that one, like a few years later, Nick would start really doing them more often.
Yeah.
However, there were kind of crossovers beforehand. It was kind of more of a illusion of a shared universe.
Yeah.
There was an episode where Carly, Sam, and Freddie were talking were making spaghetti tacos in like this food competition, and Carly shouts like to hand me over the Peruvian puff peppers. And if you guys know Drake and Josh, that was an actual episode where they have the Peruvian puff peppers making chili. And then there's a George Foreman grill that's
Yes, George Foreman.
the George Foreman grill appeared in both Drake and Josh and iCarly.
Yes. Look, I'm sorry. There's always these funny commercials with George Foreman, and whenever I told people about like George Foreman, the heavyweight boxer, him being the oldest heavyweight champion, and then I lead up, did you know he had a grill, but he didn't actually invent it? Shit. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, and but yeah, a lot of certain bits of like media kind of were shared and crossover. So like the shared universe for like what is the Nickelodeon universe that was fully intended by Nick is of Victorious, iCarly, Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, and Game Shakers.
Really?
Game Shakers, Henry Danger, what's it? The Thundermans,
Yeah. All right. That's nice.
and a lot more. There's a lot of them
Wait,
that
I
were
thought
that are
Game
on-
Shakers wasn't because Nathan
It
Kress
is and
was on
isn't.
the show.
It is and isn't because Nathan Kress plays himself in that.
Yes.
However, the character of Helen from Drake and Josh also appears as the character of Helen, and not of the actress Yvette Nicole Brown. She plays Helen in the show, in the episode of Game Shakers, as Helen. But Nathan Kress just plays himself. Also, it's very inconsistent with iCarly as well, because there are episodes where characters from Drake and Josh will just appear on iCarly. However, Drake and Josh is also a show in the iCarly universe, and you will hear it sometimes in the background as a sitcom.
The MCU can never.
It's like if the MCU just starts playing episodes of Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Technically, they kind of do it now, in which it's a lot inconsistent with like their animated universes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the NSU for you. But I mean, it all gets kind of explained away when you consider it's all imaginary within a kid's imagination staring at a snow globe, you know? And there are a few other crossovers that are on that list that I'm probably forgetting, because there were a lot more that happened after the the Nickelodeon cinematic. After like the big cinematic crossover of iCarly and Victorious, there were a lot more that happened after that, between like a lot newer Nick shows that they really wanted to like explode in popularity but didn't, because there are a lot of shows that had crossovers on this list that only had like one season, which that are definitely most likely had a reason for only being one season, because Nick sitcoms, when they got popular, they got really popular.
Yeah, because even
And
for me, like at a time where I wasn't really watching much of Nickelodeon or that kind of style of kid sitcom, I'd still hear it from everybody else. Like people were talking about it.
yeah, like when iCarly got big, everyone kind of knew what iCarly was. Are y'all ready to start that episode?
We're
Yes.
ready to watch
Never,
cinema.
never been
Ready to
more
watch?
ready in my entire life.
All right, then. We will be right back after we watch iCarly Season 3, Episode 10, iParty with Victorious. We'll see you very soon. So, we have just returned from watching iCarly Season 3, Episode 10, iParty with Victorious. I want to ask Tyler first. Tyler, what were your thoughts on this crossover of epic
Yeah.
proportions?
Yeah, so yeah. So yeah. So yeah. Before this, my whole life I've wanted to make movies and to like give people the joy of filmmaking, like in a theater and through the cinematic experience. Now I want to jump off a bridge. So thank you, Dan Schneider.
Thank you,
Thank
Dan
you.
Schneider.
Wow.
Marcos.
Oh my bloody god, what to say about the cinematic masterpiece we have here, boys? To be honest, it was kind of a struggle because it felt like purgatory. It went by so fast, but yet so slow at the same time. And in the back of my mind, I keep telling myself, "You gotta walk the dogs." But now I'm here, and I wasn't even paying attention to the episode half of the time because like the my Wi-Fi was so shoddy that like the video was kind of like lagging. I could still hear the audio fine,
You
and I
lucky
was doing
bastard.
research on. I wanted to see if there was an actual behind the scenes reason why Ariana Grande didn't talk at all. I was texting my girlfriend about it. She said, "I don't know." And during the episode, I was just into this rabbit hole saying, "Okay, Ariana Grande." Then I looked over the trivia. I was like, "Did you know about her hair falling off because she had to dye her hair red for 4
Well, no,
years
she had
straight?"
like it wasn't like dye. It was like it's like threads or something like that. It was like actual like woven into her hair to make it look like she had red hair. None of it was dyed,
The beginning,
from what I
it was
understand.
dyed, but it,
From Noah Grossman, he was guy who's on Smosh, but back then he was like on this like Nickelodeon like side mini show thing that they had on their show, and Ariana Grande was there, and he spoke about that. Like Ariana Grande had been like hair and makeup for a while because they actually have to like add this entire thing to her own hair to make her hair look like that red, from what I understand at least. Xavier, would you like to give your thoughts?
It was painful. Every minute of it was pain, and literally, this had no excuse. Like this, you could have just made it a 30-minute special, and that would have been perfectly fine. The fact that they dragged this fucking thing to over an hour is a crime.
Crime against nature here.
Yeah.
My thoughts are exactly on all three of you. This was a pain to watch, but I am glad I watched it because now I get to say I get that one out of the way and I don't have to inevitably watch it. However, I will say I am not looking forward to the other Nick sitcoms that I have coming up. I have various Sam and Cat episodes, Henry Danger, many, many more Nick coms coming my way. To get into the plot of this episode, it revolves around a cheating boyfriend. Tyler, you certainly had some opinions during the watch through.
Yeah, no, a lot of it was just me going like, ha 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 ha, because like I'm a sarcastic little asshole. But like it got to a certain point for like the last 20 minutes where my brain shut off and all I could do was or and then like the thing that pissed me off is it's an hour and 10 minutes. And like most crossovers end up bordering that kind of time limit just because it's like 3 episodes pushed together. That's fine. And like I kept
Yeah.
alluding to like the Disney crossovers, like Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana, or like That's So Sweet Life with Hannah Montana. Like, because Disney has always done crossovers.
Yeah.
And like throughout the episode, I just kept thinking about how those shows have like such a specific format where it's like all the characters get to interact, or most of them get to interact, and you get to see like the characters you want to interact with each other. This one, the characters from iCarly didn't get to LA, not even the Performing Arts Academy or Tori's house, LA, until like 40 minutes in, didn't even meet Tori, Victoria Justice, lead of Victorious, until 50 minutes in, because there were like 12 minutes left whenever they were meeting the boyfriend.
It was 45, I think it was 45 minutes in when they actually met Victoria Justice. And then
That's insane.
Yeah. Now I will say with the Disney crossovers, because with Disney crossovers, the first one they did, which was with That's So Sweet Life with Hannah Montana, the Hannah Montana portion didn't even really have Hannah Montana with That's So Sweet Life, because it had Raven and Zack and Cody in that episode, and those two in the first 2 episodes, and then the final one was just a Hannah Montana episode, completely separate from things.
Yeah,
that was but then they found their groove in balancing it by the next crossover. This is just painful with its balancing, because it's balancing all the plots that would eventually lead them together, but it takes 45 minutes to get there.
And
like you guys mentioned, yeah.
They don't even, because that's the thing, is I can understand like making it like kind of dragging it out to get to the 90 minute, like, or not 90 but like 70 minutes. I can understand that, but they just throw in such random bullshit. Like there's a subplot of Robbie destroying the speaker system at the party, like Kenan Thompson's
so we get the rapping
house.
bits though. Those rapping bits. Yeah.
No, I fully took my earbuds off and like had to just not listen to Jeanette McCurdy rapping. No hate towards Jeanette McCurdy, like she like was not voluntary in any of this. She's great, but like I just can't hear her rap. And thank you, Dan Schneider, for orchestrating this. But like it was just such dumb bullshit. Like they were rapping and like Kat lost her voice and Trina brought children that she was babysitting to the party and Beck was trying to get scared, and it's like, why did any of this need to be in here? Like I'm here to see these characters interact. I'm not here to watch another episode of these shows but an hour long as opposed to like 20 minutes. Like it just blows my mind how bad this was.
Yeah, this the rapping of, as someone who kept their headphones on for that was painful. He rhymed the word sloppy with party.
Sloppy toppy, am I right?
Kendrick could never.
Also, a character just fucking dies in a pool. He just fucking gets launched.
Shit. Fucking Sinjin on the surfboard. I could only imagine what if he went a foot over and we just saw someone die on Nick.
That would have been incredible. You just see his head just get fucking, his neck just fucking snaps. You just see his just bent over on fucking, oh my god. And then just the energy of just the amount of pedophile shit that they had in this episode.
Yeah, Kenan Thompson was weird in this one. Oh, spoilers for iParty with Victorious.
Yeah, Kenan Thompson's there. They're at Kenan Thompson's house, which they remind you of constantly. And then they have Kenan Thompson. God, I cannot speak. Victorious has degraded my brain.
Yes.
Kenan Thompson just walks in, and he's like, "Where are all the people at? Who invited the panda?" And then you just... I
will say, though, Kenan Thompson made the crossover mildly better. Like,
yes, even
the funniest scene, the only scene to get a genuine laugh out of me, like I genuinely thought it was funny, was Kenan Thompson blowing a trumpet in the boyfriend's face. And it
Which
had
pushes
nothing
him
to do
back.
with the boyfriend. Yes. No, the funniest part was him just blowing a trumpet in a guy's face and then him just going, ah.
It like hit him like a fucking train. He's just like, ugh! Hits him against the ground. I'm like, what fucking powerhouse of a trumpet that is?
Oh,
Where was that when Thanos invaded Earth?
That's Black Bolt's trumpet. And Kenan
Black
Thompson
Bolt's
is-
trumpet, yeah.
Kenan Thompson is my ideal Black Bolt casting.
I need to see that now. Kenan Thompson is Black Bolt. Make it happen, Marvel. He'll be in the in the next multiverse movie. It worked with John Krasinski. It'll work here.
I'm sure Kevin Feige's listening to this and specifically listening to it for our Marvel castings.
I already said, like, listen, Scorsese, if you're listening to this random ass podcast, watch the Jesse's crossover at cinema. Kevin, if you're listening to this podcast, listen to our fan cast here. Give us Kenan Thompson as Black Bolt.
Yeah, shout out Scorsese and Feige.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scorsese, and make Scorsese direct a Marvel movie. Let's see how that goes. All right. So I guess from here, I want to keep this going. See how long we can talk about this, because this is just it's very similar to the Jesse crossover, where after watching it, I just feel empty, like I just watched nothing.
Yeah.
yeah.
It just keeps your mind blank.
No, that's what's happening to me. Is I'm trying to think of different things to talk about, and I'm just like, yeah, it was bad, but I don't have like commentary on it. It's just bad. Like, I'm sure if I wrote a script about it, but that would be like 5 hours, and it would just be me watching it and saying, "This sucks. This is bad. I don't like this." And like, that's not. I feel like that's not.
Trina
entertaining
endangered
enough.
some kids. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, like what the fuck was that?
She just she takes up a babysitting position, a babysitting job. Then she wants to back out of the babysitting job because she realizes that's on the same date as the party. And then she asks, but then when she finds out she can't get out of that, she then asks if she can change the party date. But then when she can't do that, she decides, I'm just going to bring the kids to this high school party that's definitely going to be PG the entire time. And
on leashes too.
And then on leashes, yeah. And then she hands the leashes to Kat, who is definitely the most responsible and most mature person out of the entire Victorious cast.
I will say though, the actress playing Kat, I think she's going places.
Yeah,
I think there's untapped potential there.
I'm not sure. I mean, like, she's a really good singer, I'll say that, but I don't know if she could do a full solo career. Can never see that. It's not that I.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
I think her name is.
Don't
I was gonna say a really bad joke.
So I'm host of the podcast now. Hey guys, sitcom guy here.
Yeah, I'm gone. I'll leave.
No, it was really bad.
Yeah.
The whole crossover it was a lot of like, ooh, isn't this so random and funny? Which like is Nickelodeon humor. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it wasn't like geared towards a point. Like usually with the crossover, or usually with the Nickelodeon sitcoms, they're like random to a point. Like they're all random and convergent, especially for like the longer iCarly episode. Like I Fight Shelby Marks. I remember I watched it. Genuinely a pretty good episode of television. Like all of the random stuff ended up coming back towards the end, and there were like random bits here and there, but it was like to fill more of the spaces to get to the finale, which is like great. This one was just like, I want to see these characters interact because I like all of them, so let me watch them interact. Don't just like have them separated and then barely like look at each other when they sing the big crossover song, which also sucked. We haven't even talked about that yet.
Oh yeah, that so they combined the two songs, make it shine, and
Leave It All to Me.
Leave It All to Me,
Which are absolute bangers in their own right.
They're both good. I don't like Make It Shine as much that much just because it's just not as memorable to me.
It bangs.
Leave It All to Me is amazing.
It's straight up
Just-
on my personal Spotify playlist. Like, I'm pulling it up now.
Mhm. I mean, it's so good they kept it for the reboot, for the I guess the continuation.
Oh,
And
you know what really sucks? When you
What?
look up "Leave It All to Me" on Spotify, "Leave It All to Shine" comes up first.
It's like even before they get to the party, there was just like a lot of random scenes that really didn't need to be there. Like there's a point where iCarly and the other girl, I can't remember names. I'm so fucking lost here, but
Sam.
they're in class texting each other, and then they're like, okay, well, the teacher's like, I'll just read them up in front for everyone. It's like a few, like it's less than a minute, and then it just cuts to something else. It was like, what? It's like,
Yeah.
It's just
didn't need
kept
to
on
be
going
there.
with the emphasis on your boyfriend's cheating on you, Carly, and she's like, no, he's not. I love him.
And it's
I
like,
love.
that was the
and it-
biggest thing that
They
I
did
hated.
3 scenes that conveyed the exact same plot. Now, what I was going to say is the episode ends with the combination of them singing all this song. It starts with a dubstep rendition of what that song was going to be, which was so weird. When you think that it's going to start with them singing vocals, you don't hear it, and it's awkward for me. I
Oh,
fully
yeah, with the opening. I forgot about that. Yeah.
It was like a dubstep pop rendition of that combo opening they did.
And it was also weird because Victoria Justice was the only victorious cast
Oh,
member
yeah,
to get
right.
billing.
She
It was
got
just a weird vibe.
because then you had Miranda Cosgrove. They did Jeanette McCurdy, Nathan Crest. Did they do Jerry Trainer for Spencer?
Yeah, they did Jerry Trainer and Noah Monk and then Victoria Justice. I will say Gibby is like, he was fine in this. It was a thing of like, it took a while, but like, he was cute. Like the scene where he lost the mole, went into the room, was looking for it, and then asked the one kid, he was like, have you seen my mole? And he turned around and went, oh my god, you're Gibby from iCarly. That was fun. And then he just punched him.
Wow.
Gibby
That
just
was
did
funny.
assault. I'm blanking now. This show.
You
These
just
crossovers.
watched it.
I know. These crossovers are so forgettable at this point. It really sucks because I've watched this already like multiple times for my video, and I've had to take notes for this. I don't have my notes on me now, but like,
Because it's just like an episode of iCarly, an episode of Victorious, and then they kind of merge at the end. But even then, it's only like one very specific plot point that merges at the end.
yeah, trying to.
Like, I think the thing
Oh,
that
they made a
pissed me
joke.
off most-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You go.
Okay. They had Jerry Trainer. They said that they made the Jerry Trainer having a book club is feminine for some reason.
Oh
Yeah, that was the thing.
because- Which, why the fuck was that scene in there? We'll never know. Apparently, the writer just hated the idea of men in a book club because we got to keep those gender norms locked fucking tight.
And then he felt like Nancy forgot her makeup bag. Nancy.
Which is funny because men don't wear makeup. Isn't that
What?
so weird?
That's men never have worn makeup. I have never, as a man, I have never worn makeup so that I don't look shit in a video. I have never done that. And actors never have male actors have never worn makeup for any reason.
It's just the whole vibe of the episode was just raw XD, and then they were at Kenan Thompson's house, and then it was also holy shit. How do we forget about the fucking makeup that they put on Carly, Sam, and Freddie?
God, yeah.
Holy shit. What a
You're
segue.
right!
I planned this the whole time. We were going to segue both makeup bits. Whoa.
Oh boy, here we
You
go.
have to force it. You have to force it in.
Okay, so I summarize here. So they're like, oh shit, people are gonna notice us just because we're iCarly people in LA. So we needed to get a disguise, even though they're like, they've never really gotten into that situation in public at their own where they live in Seattle, which is a very big city, might I add. So they don't get any of that shit in Seattle apparently, but LA they're like, oh, people will notice us.
Because it's LA. It's either LA or New York. You're gonna get Or you're not gonna get recognized at all. People are just gonna pass by you and say, "Oh, is that Carly Thompson?"
Okay, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Because George Lucas will walk down on the street and no one will bat an eye. You'll just see photos of him at a mall and no one's like crowding him. So that makes sense. Actually, yeah, you're right. But like then they go to the makeup artist and they make the ugliest shit I have ever seen.
No, like it's bad. It's not even like ironic, like, because it is the whole like gimmick is like, oh, they're gonna look ugly so people don't look at them and recognize that they're iCarly. But then like they're staying the makeup for like a solid 10-20 minutes of the episode, and the lines are like Sam, Carly, Freddie lines, but it's so weird and like strange and uncanny, like coming out of their out of those
Yeah.
faces. Like the lines are just so much grosser and cringy. Like
Yeah.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
I said this during the episode, but I basically compared them to a live action Dr. Seuss character. I just,
Yeah,
it's
they really were Seussian kind of. But I will say this: the Seuss makeup in the live action Grinch movie was good.
it's
Like that
yeah.
was good makeup. But like this, oh, it was really much on a TV budget. I remember actually watching behind the scenes footage from this episode where it had Miranda Cosgrove talking about how she couldn't actually smile in this makeup. So if you watch that episode knowing that, it's become so obvious that they're like in really uncomfortable face makeup. Like it's really bad prosthetics. This was actually one of I guess a few other crossovers they did. There were a few other kind of crossovers they had. One of them's on this list. It's one of one of them I have on this list is a very it's hard to explain because it's an April Fool's Day episode. It aired on April Fool's Day, and it's very nonsensical and it's completely out of canon. But it's called April Fool's Blank. Have you ever heard of this episode of Victorious? Any of you guys?
Is that the one episode where the actress for Sam Puckett was in? Or
No.
okay.
I not to explain it too much because I will eventually. It's on the master list, so it will be eventually be covered. But Principal Belding from Saved by the Bell appears for some unknown reason, and they also had Drake Bell appear for that episode, and it's a weird one. But it basically canonizes Saved by the Bell in this universe, and I find that interesting. Oh boy, it really sucks that we're blanking this badly on an episode we just watched. This literally happened just yesterday, last episode with Jesse. Like we watched it and then we just completely forgot everything we had just watched.
it's not even like we forgot it. Like I think if we really tried hard enough, we could remember if we sat here together, we could probably say exactly what happened throughout the whole episode. Just and I'm guessing y'all are the same way. I have nothing to say about it other than like, that's bad. That's weird. And it's like,
Yeah.
like there's just nothing to say about it. Like you can tell this was a money scheme and it was just the schedules happen to line up and Nick was like, this is actually going to be a big boost in viewership for both shows, for the channel. Do it, but like as cheap as possible. So they were like, okay, so we can't get them all together because that'll be too hard scheduling wise. So we'll just make 2 episodes and then build a set.
And then eventually we'll have them all together at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, actually now I remember another plot. Psychowix was just trying to scare the living shit out of everybody. It's like he hid in the pool for like fucking 10 minutes, and you're just seeing Gibby and Spencer talk. And they're just like talking for like ever, and then Psychowix is apparently just hiding in that pool without a breather or anything.
It's weird to me that we have listed like nearly every plot point and none of them go together at all.
No.
Like
They don't.
where the fuck with what we were talking about, Trina taking kids to the party, to the drama teachers trying to scare the shit out of everyone, to they had weird makeup on. Like, what the? How do you what kind of crack are you on to come up with that type of shit? And can I have some, please?
There's something in that Nickelodeon slime.
There's something in that Nick slime, yeah. That's a good. Like, I want to ask you guys this: when you look back about these shows, do you think that this fits stylistically with all of them, with both Victorious and iCarly? Like, if you were just to watch this in a binge, would you feel like this is something out of order for you?
I don't think so. Like, I think the actual episode fits with both the vibes of the show. I think all of my distaste and like discomfort come from the fact that it's a crossover between the two shows, and it just feels like a normal episode of each of the shows until it doesn't, until like the last 12 minutes when they actually are interacting with each other. That's the thing that like really bugs me. But it, like, if you're watching both of them together and like lined it up to where both of like you get to the actual episode point where the crossover happens, it doesn't feel that out of place. It's just like, oh yeah, no, this makes sense. But it's just like, it's like if in Infinity War they like didn't, like, no one interacted. It was just like an Iron Man and a Doctor Strange movie until like the last 30 minutes, and then they met up and fought Thanos, and then it ended. Like, that's the vibe of this
Yeah,
crossover.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Let me think. I'm trying to think of another at any other plot point that we would all want to find interesting. Sinjin almost basically died. Did we talk about the
lube?
Oh, yeah.
Spencer's a freak, my guy. He's a
Spencer,
freak.
yeah. He's like, hey, do you guys want to massage my back with a back cream? And they're like, no, stop. And then he's like, all right, fine, I'll call someone who will definitely do it. And you know who it's gonna be the minute he picks up the phone, because it's Gibby. And Gibby will apparently do anything, because that's what they tried to do with Noah Monk. They just said, like, do all this random shit.
Jerry Trainer is a treasure.
He's a treasure, but
like, they had him do some weird shit, but like, dude sold it.
He sold it, yeah.
Noah
Noah Monk was told to do so much weird shit. I feel bad for him because it's like his legacy of him has the legacy of Gibby has like apparently really just hurt him as a person. He just doesn't he didn't like how much people would treat him in public whenever they see him.
It was like from a like YouTube documentary video about like what Noah Monk had to go through while playing Gibby, and it was like in like the I will never be able to remember what episode it is, but it was like there was a bit where Gibby was like up in the rafters checking something, and then like Sam's like, "Hey Gibby, are you coming?" And then he just falls and like falls straight onto the concrete. And that was real. Like, there was an actual stunt double that jumped off of the rafters and like slammed into and like I don't know if he like is paralyzed to this day, but it was like he had serious
broke his ribs. He broke his ribs,
Yeah.
and he had to get immediate surgery. He was like in the hospital for a while. So all those reactions, yeah, you know, like Gibby, and you just hear Gibby. If you remember that, if you know that meme, that was real. The stunt actor actually dropped like about like 40 feet like or so from where they had it, and he like barely any padding. He broke his ribs, and like you could see on the actors' faces when it happened, just the sheer terror in their eyes.
Wait, we forgot Gibby.
Oh yeah. Gibby! Gibby! Did you guys hear my ribs crack?
What the fuck was going on at Nick?
Nick was an interesting time, man. They were doing a lot of things. They were doing a lot of stuff with just actors. I mean, look at the company they had. They had Dan Schneider, man. So I want to ask you guys, in terms of the cataloging this huge nexus of crossovers across the Tommy Westphal universe, is this a necessary watch for those who are interested in watching the Tommy Westphall universe. Xavier, what do you think? Is this necessary?
Fuck no. Literally, you don't even need to watch. Like, say if you were trying to binge both shows, you could take this one out and nothing would happen. You would just continue on.
Tyler.
No, I cannot add anything more onto that. You said my exact thoughts.
Marcos.
Did you know George Foreman actually had a sitcom?
Well said.
Well said. Well said. And my final conclusion will be: no, you do not need to watch this crossover to understand the full scope of the Tommy Westphall universe.
Do you have like a gavel that you can like cement that?
I wish I did. I have my phone here.
No, it is not necessary.
It is not.
Case over.
Not canon. Case over.
It wipes from the face of the planet. We forget it exists. Like, wait, guys, I just went on to Paramount Plus. It's not there. What happened?
Wait, what's not there?
iParty with No! Ah!
Okay, so before we end things off with the randomizer here, do you guys got stuff to plug? Xavier, would you like to plug yours first?
Sure. So I review stuff on YouTube. I haven't done it for a little bit, but I'm starting to kind of get back into it now. And, I'm reviewing video games, mostly superhero related stuff. Also I have a Let's Play channel, that's fine, I guess. And also I have my own podcast, which is the Speaking Nerd podcast, which I do with a number of other friends of mine. And we seem to have a fun time. So if you could please check those out, it'd be very appreciated.
Tyler?
So I do YouTube. I'm never good at pitching myself on things. I do YouTube and I do film analysis type content. Currently, I'm on a hiatus, but right now I'm in the process of making a new video. By the time this goes up, it'll probably be out and I'll actually be back on YouTube. But I think my channel's pretty neat. You should go check it out. That doesn't seem like a good sell, but take a risk.
Mm-hmm. Take a risk on them, man. These two are phenomenal people. And also Marcos.
Yeah, sure. I am an aspiring amateur boxer. I do commissions on the side, so if y'all want to commission me, I'm available on my Twitter at DepthShow, and that's not a sentence I would ever say. And yeah, and also a really good George Foreman fanatic. I could go on and on about hours about George Foreman for God knows how long, because why should I?
Please go check out all these guys. They're phenomenal. Xavier does phenomenal stuff. Tyler does phenomenal stuff. Marcos does phenomenal stuff. They're all amazing. Go follow them on Twitter. Subscribe to their YouTubes. Whatever you can do to follow their stuff. They're phenomenal people. And also I would like to add, please subscribe to the podcast. I forgot to say it last time, and I'm probably going to add it in the editing process. Please subscribe to my YouTube, Iron Ninja. It really would mean a lot. Or subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It would honestly mean a lot to me. It would really mean the world to know that people actually are interested in this topic. And yeah. Other than that, we are now going to figure out what my next episode will be covering. Now, let me real quickly delete iParty with Victorious off of this master list here, because I'm taking... Oh, yeah. Yep. Delete the thing that does not exist off the master list.
Wait, can I ask, do you deem Jesse and Spider-Man as necessary?
We didn't really deem it as necessary as a watch through, but if you want to watch it, it's there.
Okay.
It's it just exists.
I want to make it clear, the first episode isn't released yet, so it's not like I'm on here and I just refuse to listen to it. I'm curious.
Yeah, he hated my first episode. He only
Yeah.
came here because I contractually made him obligated to.
Yeah, I really wanted to listen to Jeanette McCurdy do a rap verse in iParty with Victorious.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us click the randomizer in 3, 2, 1.
Chug, 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 chug.
And we are watching on the next episode Muppets X Star Wars. Mark Hamill. The Muppet Show Season 4 Star Wars. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. That is going to be a fun one.
Oh,
Finally, something good. Ah!
Something good. Yes. Tune in next time when I cover The Muppet Show Season 4, the crossover with Mark Hamill and Star Wars. I'll see you next time on the Nexus. Just so you guys know, future episodes of this podcast will be uploaded on Apple Podcasts and Spotify a few days earlier than the episodes uploaded to YouTube. Again, you guys can follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple Music. It would be greatly appreciated. It really does help me a lot. And from here, I'm going to leave you guys with a little teaser for episode 3, where we cover The Muppet Show. Hi, this is Future Zack, just popping in to say, guess what? My audio didn't finish backing up to the cloud and didn't record fully. I have 2 minutes of my audio for episode 3, so there's a more likely chance that episode 3 might not happen. There might be a way I'm going to work around this, but we'll see. I am very, very, very sad.